नहमदुहु व नुसल्लिहि रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम इन्नल्लाहा व मलाइकतहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनु सल्लु अलैहि व सल्लिमु तस्लीमा अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मौलाना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मौलाना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लि अलैहि. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. In this video of short Islamic courses, we are going to look at the third story in Surah Al-Kahf, the third story with a moral in it, which will help us, inshallah al-aziz, further down the line to understand the secrets of the protection from the Dajjal and his fitna. This story is about Musa alayhi salam and Khizr alayhi salam, and the asbab al-nuzul of this particular verse pertaining to this story that we're about to discuss came about when Musa alayhi salam had just delivered an absolutely magnificent sermon, and one of his ummatis asked him, "O Musa alayhi salam, are you the most knowledgeable person on this earth?" And Musa alayhi salam replied, "Yes, I am." Now I have to stress that this was not out of any form of arrogance or pride, because of course Musa alayhi salam is a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are Masoom anil khata, which means they are innocent, they are incapable of sin. So this was not out of any form of arrogance, this was simply because Musa alayhi salam had been bestowed with the Torah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it was his belief that if I have been bestowed by the Torah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the full understanding of it, then naturally I will be the most knowledgeable person on this earth. And the Torah is, of course, one of the holy books that was revealed. It was the holy book of the time. It was the book that was the guidance for the ummah of the time. Now, upon saying that he is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam that actually there's somebody else, another one of my servants, i.e. another prophet who has been bestowed with a different knowledge. So Musa alayhi salam wanted to learn this knowledge, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that's fine, if you take a fish in a vessel of water with you out to sea, where that fish disappears, that is where you will find this person. So Musa alayhi salam set out on his journey, and where the fish disappeared from the vessel was where two rivers met. And Musa alayhi salam thought, well, this is where I'll find the person. And indeed he did, and he found Khizr alayhi salam. And Khizr alayhi salam at first refused to give the knowledge, on the basis that he didn't think Musa alayhi salam would be patient enough for him. And his point of view was valid, because he said, how can you be patient? How do you know you can be patient about something which you do not know anything about, which you have no knowledge of? But Musa alayhi salam insisted, and he persisted, and Khizr alayhi salam said, okay, you can travel with me, but I have some conditions which, if you break them, then it's a no-go, quite frankly, and you have to abide with them to travel with me in order to learn. Musa alayhi salam agreed, and those conditions were not to question anything Khizr alayhi salam did, and not to interfere or interrupt in anything Khizr alayhi salam did. So they went about their journey, and whilst they were out to sea, they were traveling, and Khizr alayhi Islam all of a sudden started to do some damage to the boat. He started to disassemble it, and naturally Musa alayhi Islam was a little bemused by this and said, what are you doing? You know, if you're doing this so others can't use it, then this is a sin. And Khizr alayhi Islam said, I told you not to question me. So Musa alayhi Islam left it at that. When they reached shore, they reached a village, and in that village they inquired about some food and shelter, and the people were a little bit rude and they refused it. Musa alayhi Islam, being the Jalali person that he is, naturally thought, well then, let's move on from here. But Khizr alayhi Islam saw that there was a wall which was crumbling and was very close to falling, and he said, no, let's fix this wall. And then they fixed it, even though Musa alayhi Islam was thinking, well, hang on a second, you know, we could charge labor for this, we'd be quite within our right to charge labor for it. But Khizr alayhi Islam said, no, do not question me, I told you not to question me. So they built up the wall and they continued. They then reached a point where Musa alayhi Islam and Khizr alayhi Islam saw a child, and Khizr alayhi Islam killed the child. He killed a child, and Musa alayhi Islam thought, whoa, what are you doing? It is a crime, you know, you cannot kill a child, it is a major sin. But as I've already previously mentioned, prophets cannot sin. They are incapable of sin. They are masum and al-khata. They are masum and al-khata. They are incapable of sin. However, Musa alayhi Islam couldn't believe his eyes. He said, you've killed an innocent child. What are you doing? I cannot believe this. And Khizr alayhi Islam said, right, that's enough. I told you not to interfere, and I told you not to question me about knowledge that you do not have. And then once Musa alayhi Islam said, okay, that's fine, you know, I understand, but you know, what is going on? Khizr alayhi Islam then told Musa alayhi Islam why he had committed the acts that he had done. With the boat, he said, we were traveling, you do not know this, but there was a pirate ship that would have attacked us, and because I had damaged the boat, when they looked at the boat, they didn't see of any sort of value, so we were saved from an attack from pirates. When it came to the village where the walls were crumbling, it said beneath those walls was a great treasure, and that great treasure was left by a very pious man for his sons who are now orphans. And it was Allah's will, it was divine will that they get that treasure. That's why I built that wall, to make it secure. Then Musa alayhi Islam said, well, what about the child? What did the child do? And Khizr alayhi Islam said, well, that child would have grown up and he would have spread so much fitna, he would have committed so many bad deeds that his mother and his father, who are very pious people, out of sheer anguish, sheer regret, would not have born any more children. But now he is gone. Before he committed those acts, his parents will give birth to many pious children. Many pious children. So what is the moral in all of this? The moral is that sometimes divine wisdom is hidden in something that we cannot understand. This was a trial of knowledge and a trial of patience. How many times do we see things and astaghfirullah, na'uzubillah, we question it. We question Allah, how can Allah, let this happen? Astaghfirullah. Yet we do not see that there is great benefit in everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. Whatever Allah does, He does it for our benefit. He does it for the betterment. There is another great story which took place hundreds of years ago about a king who used to go hunting, and he was very fond of hunting. And one day, whilst he was sitting in his palace, he cut his finger and he cursed and cursed. And his minister said, "Don't curse. Whatever Allah does, He does it for the better." And the king, out of anger, said to his minister, "Are you mad? Whatever Allah does for the better. What betterment is there in me cutting my finger?" Anyway, he was so angry, he sacked the minister. So the next day when the king went out hunting, he got caught by a tribe who were cannibals, and they were about to sacrifice the king to their god. And when they were about to sacrifice him, they noticed that his finger was bandaged, and they deemed him to be impure for sacrifice, and they let him go. Once the king was released and he was in the safety of his palace, he realized, and his thought went out to the minister who he had sacked, who had said that there's something better in it for you, that you've cut your finger. And he realized that, oh, hang on a second, this saved me. So he immediately sent for his minister, who came back, and he said, "Look, you were right and I was wrong. This cut actually saved my life." And he said, "But what I don't understand is that this cut saved my life, but what benefit did you receive by me sacking you?" And the minister replied, "Well, quite frankly, king, I go hunting with you. If you were captured and let go because of your cut, well then I would have been captured also, but I would have been sacrificed." So this gives us an example of how everything happens for the best. And this is something which we should really take on board in our everyday lives. Thank Allah for whatever it is. You should thank Allah for whatever it is. The great Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, may Allah increase his rank, he was a great businessman, and upon hearing that one of his large shipments had been destroyed, he said Alhamdulillah. He said Alhamdulillah. And then the messenger said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Sheikh, we got that wrong. It hasn't been destroyed." And he said, "Well, Alhamdulillah." And he said, "Oh no, actually, we just received news. It was your shipment which got destroyed." And Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, rahmatullah alayhi, still said, "Alhamdulillah." And when he was questioned why, he said, "Well, it's all given by Allah anyway, and I'm sure there's something better in it for me." But the point is that divine knowledge isn't always clear in the form that it comes in, but we shouldn't question it, and we should remain patient. In the next video, inshallah al-Aziz, we'll discuss the fourth story with morals in it. Hope to see you then, inshallah al-Aziz. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ.